Distinguished guests, dear friends, Mr. Sala, I'm very pleased to be here amongst you at this forum. Over the last 2 years, I couldn't attend the meeting. That was independent of my will, but one of my deputy manager transmitted very positive things about this forum, so much so that I decided that I had to come. I wouldn't say anything new, because I myself wish to add my voice in acknowledging the first promoter of this initiative, our dear friend, the Professor Falico. I have witnessed with my own eyes how his idea have been translated into fact. So with this forum coming to the fore, this forum has become a very important venue, as President Prodi just said. And whenever you hear your colleagues listening to coming from different countries or taking the floor, your heart cannot but beat with joy. This is why I believe that the forum is going to be as successful in the future and will contribute to integration. The forum certainly won't contribute to the division between Europe and Russia, as somebody might think or want. I'm referring to those who insist on confrontation and opposition between us, on the need to not to act jointly. As a matter of fact, I believe that all of us are contributing to this, making our markets come closer. And as a matter of fact, we know that for some time markets have been globalized. The financial market of Russia and is part of the financial market worldwide, and so there's no need to make a distinction and to build walls. I understand that after lunch, the number of attendants has decreased. I believe this is kind of natural. I believe that after the lunch, people tend to be happier, so I'm sure that those who are listening are going to be in agreement with us because they are well disposed. Now, if we cast our look at the whole situation and we look at some figures, you know that most important monetary stimulation plans worldwide, not just in Russia, haven't done enough. After the crisis that started between 2007 and 2008, after the crisis broke out, we haven't yet succeeded in overcoming that. Most measures taken by developed countries didn't bring about the expected result in terms of growth of manufacturing. This shows my assumption. You see that going back to the anti-crisis measure brought about some kind of a stabilization, but the above-mentioned measures, anyway, have not stimulated the production, not even the market of securities. If we look at this slide, you may see that most of the liquidity hasn't been targeted towards the financial markets, but rather to finance the budget deficits. This is understandable. Indeed, Many countries had to adopt anti-crisis plans, and this caused a problem, notwithstanding, because the growth rate of world GDP is still quite unsatisfactory. I have to say that most economies wishes to transfer excessive liquidity in the industrial and the manufacturing industry. And I believe this is certainly right. Now, integration processes are underway to make sure that countries should solve their problems, something that cannot be done in isolation. Many countries following the route to integration at times try to take their share of liquidity to invest in manufacturing. At the same time, a number of countries that are very influential worldwide and that have reserve currencies sometimes act to the detriment of the financial markets. Obviously, it is quite natural for everybody to try and safeguard their own interests, despite this being perhaps against the general interest. The investment and trade partnership with the European Union requires integration. The US play the leading role, as they certainly are an important counterweight to the BRICS and other countries. We know that Russia is most interested in having trade with Europe. And as a matter of fact, there are no alternatives to ties being developed between the European Union and the Eurasian Economic Union. In the end, we'll succeed in persuading all those involved in this process to understand that we have to develop our policy, not just thinking to opposition, but rather promoting partnership. I believe that the worst is gone. I'm referring to 2014, the first half of the present year. I believe that, again, the past is over, and I hope that my hopes can materialize. Russia is also an active participant of global integration. Unfortunately, the European vector is weakened. We don't want to see weak relations with Europe. Important relationships have been established with BRICS countries and with Asian countries. But again, the connection between Europe and Russia is crucial for us. You know full well that the West has introduced of late not sanctions, or I couldn't term them as sanctions, but they are what they are indeed sanctions. I know that our Western partners are not happy when sanctions are imposed, and I sincerely hope they change this policy soon. The sanctions imposed so far are not 100% sanctions or are not lethal for our banks, but what I don't approve of is the behavior that was adopted. I hope that despite all difficulties in our mutual relationships, I hope, as I was saying, that Russia continues following financial systems in the European Union and the US. We firmly believe we wish to transform the ruble in one of the most important currency worldwide. It would be naive to think that we could do that swiftly, yet we've already covered some distance to achieve this end in terms of a free circulation of capitals and in the establishment of a financial center. You know that in Russia we have a national system of plastic cards. We'll be following this plan. Obviously, there are a number of problems connected to the cost of money in our market. In this slide, you see the graphic presentation of the problem. You see that unlike EU countries and unlike US countries, our level is pretty low. Oh, actually, the interbank rate is pretty high. It was 17% at the beginning of the year. It is now 11%. Inflation is another important subject. If we look at the profitability of mortgages on homes, well, you see that there's still much remains to be done to make financial market in Russia be at the same level with the world financial levels. So not this, and yet, notwithstanding, the degree of globalization in Russia is growing. As a matter of fact, we are already in compliance with the Basel III rules. We have set up insurance company. We've been negotiating with rubles with the Chinese. We've set up an agency, a rating agency with a specific status in Russia. And what I'm saying is that much has been done to develop the infrastructure, and I firmly believe that this is the result of our efforts. Indeed, it is not only in the main halls that work is carried out, but also in the corridor or behind the scenes, as we say. And I believe that we're on track. I cannot but thank Italy most warmly, or its citizens, such as Professor Fallico and other people from this country. I'd like to thank you all for your warm welcome and for the close ties you entertain with us. This is key. I believe it impossible, again, to neglect the human factor. The human factor is key, and time can kill. So I don't want to lose my job, and so I come to a close.